When he says "watch your mouth," you can swear a little bit. He just meant walk to the mic here.
I mentioned to get over. That's what she said out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What is this a NSFW podcast or what are we looking here?
That's up to you.
Do we get to put explicit on it because of this guy or what?
Sometimes, yeah. Actually, I found that we had one lady, and she was a sailor, man. She was I started to blush a little bit, but I was like, we're gonna have to put explicit on this.
Yeah.
And we didn't, and nothing got flagged. And then we had Greg Medford.
Yeah.
And he likes to drop some stuff. And I go, we got to put explicit on this. It wasn't even swearing. There was some other stuff. And we did, and it was fine. So if we got to put explicit, it is what it is.
It is what
Absolutely.
It is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We just want to have like honest conversations with people. And if some people are cool with cussing, other people aren't, it doesn't matter to us. Sometimes it's going to get taken down. We've had TikTok taken down. We've had YouTube taken down, but it is what it is, man. So we're not going to change the way we want to do things or the way that our guests want to, talk to us. If YouTube doesn't like it, fine, we'll move on.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
there are good platforms out there. Instagram, surprisingly enough, Instagram and Facebook have really lightened up.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten anything.
Nothing.
Nope.
YouTube's pulled down 2 videos.
You think that's been
pulled
since the
down
election
3.
or what?
It's hard to say. I think it was before the election. We hadn't had any issues with them, but I think there's probably something happening.
Maybe when he started training jiu-jitsu. He
well,
was like, okay, I get it.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
And Greg was like, or who was it? Sean Utley or Reg? Yeah.
That was Daggett.
He was like, hey, man, when he started training jiu-jitsu, I knew something was happening. I was like, yeah.
Hanging
out with all those guys.
Balls are
them.
dropping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are we on the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
well, I don't know if I could say this, but my
Ish.
wife will be here tomorrow, and she used to be on his protection team, and they almost used her as his coach. And his wife, I don't know if I can say this out loud, but his wife didn't like that.
Not a fan. Not a fan. Yeah.
My wife, she was the first women's Bellator MMA champion.
Wow.
Before UFC and all that. So I'm just now getting her into rifle, like long range and precision rifle and carbine and teaching scope carbine and everything like that. So this will be her first Western Hunt Expo. And, I put her in for the draw there in Arizona. So we're going to see where that goes.
So what's her background?
Her background is a professional fighter, Muay Thai.
Really?
Yeah. Muay Thai world champion, kickboxing. And then the women's, like there was Megumi Fuchi, I think her name was. She was the first Bellator to step up, first women's Bellator to step up in MMA. And they were like, okay, we need someone for her to fight. She was 20-0. So here comes my wife, Zoila Frosto, and ends up beating her, winning the first MMA belt.
So when you say you're not sure if you can say this, you're afraid she's going to kick your ass? Or you're afraid it's going to get pulled down?
I mean, discretion's a better part of valor and protection, especially, especially in the protection world when it's contracting. Like she got me out of working down south in South America and Mexico, just doing personnel and vehicle interdiction when they were sending the caravans up. And then I met a mutual friend who has a place in Alaska, started doing protection and RST, like residential stuff. And then at the same time, I was riding bulls and guiding. So, and then contracting. So I was doing those 3 things. And then it got pretty hairy, I guess. 17 years of getting shot at, you get a time and you're like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
And it became a point in my life back in, I think it was right around COVID hit, because the last time I went down there was probably about 21, right before I went on to Black Rifle.
Yeah.
And it kind of hit, and I was like, okay, COVID changed a lot of things for us. And long story short, I'm not gonna lie, dude, we saw some of your old stocks down there.
The McMillans?
Yeah. They were broken. We had to break them at the time because when we pulled someone over or interdict, we'd find what they have and it'd be a cache up underneath the.
Wait, so who the enemy had them?
Yeah.
What were they doing with bolt guns?
Cartel will take anything.
Damn.
Yeah, it's
that's insane.
Just public service announcement: Cartel does not use Grayboe.
No, they do
only
not.
use McMillan, so we do not provide weapons to the cartel.
It was it's either Soviet bloc or just what they could get across the border.
Were they? So what? Were they on TAC? I mean, TAC 50s, the biggest thing McMillan did. Were they TAC 50s? Were they Mark 13s? What kind of?
They had a couple Mark 13s, and one TAC 50 that I remember.
Damn, that's insane.
Yeah, but the ones
Operation Fast and Furious.
Yeah, you'd see a lot of different stuff down there. A lot of it was almost Frankenstein, like Dragonoffs melted into an old 700 like stock, and it's just like is that even, are you even going to fire that? And so you break them, you burn them, you do whatever you can, and you turn them over to the authorities.
So what did you have to break? I mean, it's a whole rifle. So
we just usually break the stock and then take the bolts.
Take the bolts.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to like cut the barrels in half or anything?
No, we weren't getting the whole thing to cut the barrels or smelt them or anything like that. So it was just like, hey, take the bolts and break the stock, and to where the action's just falling apart, because you're not going to find a gunsmith around there. It's like they can, in all reality, they can find another rifle pretty quick. But mainly we were just trying to get personnel and stop, those rat lines that were coming up, and we'd send them off the coast, and we'd take them out 15 miles offshore.
Who were you working for at this time?
There was a company called Red Cloud that turned into Redfin, and then not the
real estate,
not the company. Real estate, but when you're working down there, you change T-shirts pretty often just because of
just like a contractor.
Yep.
After your military career, you got out, do some contracting.
That was it. It started out as observation. We were up in birds above Venezuela off the coast, and then it went from there over to the bottleneck, Honduras and Nicaragua area. And you see a lot of 7th group guys. So like me being from Texas, Se habla español and all that kind of stuff. They're like, hey, let's get a sniper down there, get some observation. And then from one thing led to another, to a point of vehicle and personnel interdiction. It wasn't anything hard. You take pot shots every once in a while. And then there was no like Afghan 2012 thing. It was never like that, but you'd see like the opposing factions or cartels getting into it, and you just kind of sit back and be like, that's when it would hit you, just be like, oh shit. Like, all right. Okay.
Wow. How long did you do that for?
About 6 years. Yeah. Awesome.
So you just say you did 17 in the military?
No, I did almost 10 in the Marines as a sniper, and then got out, did 6 there, and then moved on to, had a time with Black Rifle where I got on the project management side, and that's Kurt. Former
I
SEAL.
recognize that guy.
Yeah, Kurt Gamachi.
Who's he working for?
Born Primitive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I met him last year at the show.
Yep, he was out here.
Okay.
So good friend of mine, and you'll see a lot of guys like my buddy that's coming out tomorrow, Glenn Hansen. He's out of Texas, started the Wilderness Company, and I just ran their stuff. So now, when I got out around 15, I went to Montana. I needed to get out, get away, and I spent time training and getting into the guide world, hunting big time. And that was up around Missoula. And I had a buddy who was a sniper. His family owns a cattle company up near Missoula. We started guiding out there. He's teaching me the ropes, and that was fun. And he was running a 300 Win Mag on a older stock that we had, and just to keep from saying that name, but
no, that's okay.
Back when it was the stock,
for sure. Hey, listen, the legacy. I'm proud of the legacy, man.
Dude, your name. I mean, that if you're in the sniper world,
they were never the people's rifle stocks.
and to see where it's come now, and I even told him after I went up there last year, I told him, I was like, man, I met the guys from Grayboe. We need to change your stock out to a Grayboe.
Yes,
and we'll just retire that old 300 Win Mag. And but it's fun, man. We get up there to he owns the top 1,000 acres on a mountain right there in the 9390 corridor. And so anyways, I got there in 2015, and in between the seasons, so the season I'd be up there from September all the way till probably December, and then all that other time I'd contract and then just go rodeo. And that was, after that military experience, it's like you just need somewhere to go breathe. And I think that's the biggest thing that helped me with transition, was not just getting away in that solitude, but having the right people in the right places. And that was Montana, and that was Arizona. And then having Brian, and then having a buddy, Mike Clancy, and then having a lot of guys that were at Black Rifle. We all ended up kind of being at Black Rifle at one time. And this was 2021. We ended up all being like late 21. And, around that time, I started transitioning from teaching precision rifle to, I went back to picked up my bow. And it was funny because the better I got at a compound bow and trad bow, I got better at precision rifle. And I think it's just like I tell everybody, it's like the principles of precision never change, merely the theater in which you employ. Right. So you can take your principles of precision on that precision rifle to a pistol, which the pistol's the easiest thing to suck at. And then you go, to a carbine.
Why do you look at me when you say that?
I kind of round tabled that.
There's only two of us.
So you go over there, and then you go over to archery, and it's all the same thing. And you know, just like from a precision rifle standpoint, you got your body alignment, your lax, you know, watch your neck, cheek placement, eye relief, and you know, don't death grip that gun and watch your trigger pull. And then it's the same thing on archery. And I started to find a second wind in precision with that archery, because I kind of varied away from it for a little bit after I got out for a few years, got back to teaching, went to contracting. And when I was contracting, you know, I don't think I ever picked up a precision rifle when I was contracting. Even now, moving into protection like full time, it's more optics and surveillance and observation than anything. And I enjoy that aspect of it, because going through sniper school at Quantico, I think I had a 92 average in observation, and that's usually one of the big killers. And so everybody was like, I can't tell you where the pieces are and for the obs, but if you watch Cervantes, you know, he's getting everything right. So just follow where he's going. And so I like to kind of melt that all into place. And when it comes from observation to proper fundamentals of shooting, and then precision rifle to, you know, problem solving and hunting, it all, if you dumb it down in the Marine Corps style, which, you know, back to my roots, it's very simple. Keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah.
And you know, one thing I love about Grayboe and those stocks is talking with Steve, is just the simplicity of how well they work and how well they fit. You know, there's 3 things that we look for in the position: is solid, stable, and durable, and your stocks meet all those. And that's one thing that I've come across hunters, and especially when I picked up Arizona, started guiding in Arizona in 2018, 2019. That was I was telling Steve, a lot of 2.8 nozzlers down there were, and one guy came out with a 308. I think he was running he was running a 300 mil Win Mag, but it was a McMillan that was built 2007. So I think that was back during the good years. Yeah.
Was that a whole McMillan rifle or just a McMillan stock?
Whole McMillan rifle.
So that's probably like if I remember, I'm trying to remember what the action was called, like the MCRT or something like that.
I've got a photo with it. I'd have to dig it up, and I'll send it to Steve.
Yeah.
But I was
and
like,
then I'll Photoshop a Grayboe stock.
I was like, and he was like, no, before the company switched over, he was like, this was built by the originals.
Yeah.
And so I was like, can I hold that? And so
so there's been a couple, the rifle companies was different than the stock companies. So there's been a couple turnovers there too. In the early days, my dad and my uncle had a company called McBros.
Okay.
And they, I mean, it was a great rifle, and and that was where really the TAC 50 was born. But the problem with that company was that it was just so hard for them to get any production out. So they made they only could make a couple hundred rifles a year, and that was just an issue. And then it changed hands. Actually, my dad and I bought it kind of in a weird way, but we began owning it in 2008, and we were trying to ramp up production. We got up to about, I think, 600 rifles a year. But it's just hard. You know, it's a hard business. I think we kept pretty good quality. It wasn't until we sold it in 2013 to where it changed. It went out of the McMillan name, went into what was now called Strategic Armory Corps, owned by kind of a venture capitalist, and then sold again to a Brazilian company, I think in probably 15 or 16. And now it's been a rough business since that time.
Question on those companies, if you have this information, are any of them a precision rifle background?
Any of the owners?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Goodness.
So the first owner, he's known for buying companies and building them and selling them. So he did that in multiple industries, not the firearms industry, but multiple industries before that. He would buy a bunch of companies, combine them into one larger company, and then sell them later. I assume he thought he could do that with McMillan. He bought McMillan, Surgeon, Armalite, AWC suppressors. Mm-hmm. I'm missing one or two, but like those are the main companies. And when he found out that couldn't do that or whatever, didn't work well, he ended up selling it to a Brazilian company. I think probably lost money on it.
Right.
And the Brazilian company struggled too. So the Brazilian guy is kind of he owned like the second or third largest beer company in Brazil. So these guys aren't, I mean, they're into guns, but they're not real gun people.
Right.
They're
really well together. Beer and
yeah.
firearms. Great
So the ATF loved him.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, that's kind of where they went after we sold it in 2013. And it's been a rough go for sure for those guys.
Steve, I think it's been a few years since we've seen each other.
I think it was 21 when I went out there to San Antonio to go see Andy, and that's when I met you out there.
And then we've seen each other at a show or two or something like that in between. Yeah. All right, so where we met, you were telling me earlier on the story, where has Grayboe come since 21?
Since 21, well, there's been a lot that's happened since 21. The big thing, last year we had made this decision to kind of pull back some of our products. Sometimes when you're in manufacturing, you can launch products and your product SKUs can kind of get out of control a little bit too big for your what your company can handle.
Right.
So the problem with us is that all of our SKUs were selling, but we were being kind of overwhelmed, I would say, with all of the stuff that we were selling. So we actually, this last year, we decided to make a pullback. We pulled back, we cut half of our line. And so we wanted to restart with a core piece of the, where our true core business was, which are the products you see now. And in 25, we already have on the schedule 4, potentially a 5th product launch, all stocks this year. So it was like this pullback, establish what our core is again, and then but relaunch new product that really fit with the vision where we want to go.
Right.
And that's a hard thing, for us when we ended up cutting those 4 product, I mean, our sales immediately dropped because this 4 product that customers couldn't buy. So that's a hard decision to make, but it was necessary to
regain the quality, regain
the momentum, be in the right product set where we wanted to go. There was a lot of reasons for it. Some having to do with manufacturability and stuff like that, but ultimately some having to do with we had made a lot of progress over the years on making universal stocks.
Right.
Some of our early stocks were not universal. And so selling those products was harder. It was more challenging on the customer and it was confusing. So as our newer stocks come out and they're more universal and you can put any barrel you want to in there and they're all M5 and it's all Remington clones fit on our Phoenix, but then you've got the Outlander where that's not the case. So it just became confusing, not just for the customer, but for us to try to sell them. So anyway, lots of reasons, but we just decided to kind of say, okay, cut all the old stuff. Let's focus on the new core business and build from there.
Where do you see, from a guide and sniper standpoint, which I kind of fit that liaison of the mold, and what I love about it is that, you have a guide and a former sniper, but where do you see Grayboe heavy in? Is it the military side or hunting side?
Well, hunting, I think, will always be probably our core business. It's just the way that we make stocks really lends toward hunting, lightweight, durable. The military is mostly interested in big chassis. They're not quite as concerned with weight, and they want just
big heavy chassis,
a big hammer. And that's just not really our thing. Not to say that we wouldn't do something that might catch their eye, but it wouldn't be a massive part of our business.
Right.
Personally, I remember when I got out of the military, I thought, oh man, it'd be so cool to sell guns to the military. And the military is a nightmare to deal with. I mean, on the procurement side. So it's much easier selling to individuals.
Yeah.
And, they control their own wallet. They control how much money they spend. It's okay, this transaction's easy. A transaction with the government is not easy.
No. Checks and balances.
Especially now when you have to actually charge what it's worth instead of overinflating the price.
Yeah. Right. And how far are you going to get with the Doge? With the Doge, right?
Yeah.
How are they going to justify? I'm sure they could justify buying those with the Doge, with Elon and all that stuff, but cut a little budget out for Grayboe.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think he's working on that right now.
Actually, earmark.
I was just on the phone with him earlier. I think he's working. He couldn't make it today, but he wanted to touch base. He's working on it.
He's a busy guy nowadays.
That's actually why they're doing this. He said, I got to cut all that budget so we can get Grayboe up in here.
That's it. Make snipers great again.
Yeah, I don't make the rules. You know what I'm saying?
You just go with the flow, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll sell stocks to him. Yeah.
If Elon wants to come on, if he wants to buy, hey, okay.
Yeah. Speaking of making snipers great again, I hope the Marine Corps brings back the sniper school, man.
So what happened with that?
So it was more of a for now thing. With I think it was the the one they put out for 31 or for 30 or 31, it was like, hey, we can make it organic in the infantry rather than making it a MOS all itself. And we're like, okay, so basically you're going to make a bunch of DMs, right? A bunch of designated marksmen that don't have the field skills or field craft or lengthy knowledge that we have behind the operations as a, surveillance and reconnaissance asset. So now you're just going to blend them in like pretty much the special operations team do, where they have, okay, you've been to sniper school, but we're still running night raids and hard hits and whatnot, versus a dedicated sniping team. And a lot of us, like one of the guys I went through school with, he was the last course to graduate, Sam Tice over on the East Coast. He was a chief instructor over there at Geiger. And he was telling me, he's like, man, it's a for now thing. And there's already talks of them trying to bring it back.
So how do they produce snipers?
So they have so Recon and MARSOC both still have a sniper school. So when you get to the conventional side, there's no more special operations capable. It's just, hey, we're pretty much giving you guys all the old sniper equipment, and we're going to spin you up on like a DM course. And that's great and all, but like I said, you're going to miss a lot of the organic nature that makes a sniper, which we all know sniping is only 10% of the job, maybe. Right. The rest is having a good head on your shoulders, being an asset on that battlefield to the leaders. Even though you're going to get forgotten, it's like I can't remember how many times we got forgotten in country, to where it's like, hey man, we're at our pickup, and guys are, oh shit, man, we totally forgot you guys.
Was this when you were in the military or as a contractor?
In the military, yeah. And so usually, they'd turn around or just be like, all right, guys, give us another 24 hours. What's your sit rep and all this stuff. So we'd be like, we went back to our last known checkpoint, and on our exit route. No one around, no bad guys. We're still in bad guy country, but yeah, we'll be fine. They were like, I was like, we got no food, but we got water.
Yeah, hurry up. We're running out of crayons to eat.
Yeah. It's like, dude, I remember going through, we get in the mission brief or op org, you go stand on the training model. They're like, okay, snipers will be here at this point. Okay, moving to phase 2. This is where we're going to be. And you don't hear about snipers till like phase 6. And then it's just like on the exfil, everybody's like, okay, I will be getting on Righteous 1-5 and all these, and we're going to be flying out, and we're still standing there, literally standing there on the train model. And they're all like, okay, hey, good walk talk, good chalk talk on that one. And we're still standing there like, we're waiting on our exfil. And they're like, oh, right. So yeah, side note, snipers, you're gonna exfil with Charlie 1-2. And we're like, thank you. Well, we get on site, and we're just like, Charlie 1-2, where are you guys? So and that was kind of a thing that in the Marine Corps, it's, you love snipers when you have them, but we're a candle in the wind when it comes to thought. And commanders, they're I'll say this right off the top of my head, it's you either love snipers or you hate snipers in the Marine Corps. A lot of times if they hate them, it's because there's a vendetta or you hold a grudge against them, or the officers are higher enlisted that just never had the chance or never had the ability to become a sniper, or they just don't like you. And then there's the guys that know how to utilize you, know where to put you, know how to employ you, and know when to let your leash free and know when to pull back. And those are the guys that would take care of us. But there was never an in-between.
So when you were in country, I know as SEALs, we were always managed. The battle space commanders were Army. So we actually had to become friends, and with the Army, right? Because they were the ones who would dictate a lot of our missions. In the later days, as things got more sophisticated, that's how it was. In the early days, it wasn't like that. So was that the same with you, or were the Marine Corps in control of your ops? So
we had Marine Corps control in Sangan. There were other top brass that were Army in that, like when we're doing the briefing, I remember we had a team from 8 when we were in Sangan in 12. And what's funny is that I ended up in South America with a couple of those guys and didn't even know it later on in contracting. But it was when we were in Sangan 2012, we were getting ready to go on an op, had snipers, we had SEALs. We were supposed to go in with the organic infantry. We were going to be RNS to them, SEALs with the HQ unit, and then we were supposed to leave them and pull out. And that I think it was Operation Jaws 5 at the time. And I think it was only Marine Corps brass that was running that. And I think Sangin, as everybody knows, Sangin was a Marine fight for the most part. We did have a lot of adjacents there, and I think the Rangers would come in every once in a while, but for the most part, it was Marine Corps brass running that. The SEALs, I mean, they had no complaints. I mean, and we would hear that, hey, yeah, we deal with another commander. He was Army brass, or like, and they wouldn't let us do this. But you Marine Corps guys, like, you just tell us go and get it.
I feel like for the Navy, like the Navy chain of command, you're on a ship, right? So we were one of the few Navy units that was not ship based. And so like we were kind of just like this, we were just kind of on our own, but we had to report to somebody. So oftentimes it was the Army who owned that battle space. So it was like we had to kind of make sure that we were in good standing with them.
Right.
So, but for your case, I'm sure Marines had a big presence on the ground in a lot of those wars. So you probably had your high end brass was probably talking with the Army, and you guys had a lot of leeway, where we were just kind of like knocking on doors like, hey guys, we're here. You can use us if you like. It's, like you said, some people just don't like SEAL team guys. We're known to be a little wild.
It's a love-hate relationship.
It's a love-hate relationship. We were kicked out. I wasn't personally, but I know the group was kicked out in Afghanistan after Red Wings.
Yep.
They were completely kicked out because they were just, I guess, they didn't have enough guys on the op. The Army didn't like it. So they just kicked them out. And so eventually they got back in, but a lot of that is dictated by who owns that battle space there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's it was a weird dynamic sometimes, but, and even for the Marine Corps, like Marines knowing Marines, they held us back even more than if it was Army Command. Army Command is like, oh yeah, we got Marines, let's fucking send them in. And then Marine Corps is like, no. We know Marines. You guys aren't going. So we go in there, fuck it up, and then a lot of blood and everything. And we get out, and we'd be like, "Whoa, that was great!" And then command just comes down on top. You're like, "What the?" And we're like, well, we thought that was mission complete. Like, it obviously was not, because we didn't switch or put a cover on, or one of us forgot to wear a Kevlar when we were behind the gun, or some damn shit, that getting ISAF violations and shit like that. So it was just. It was what it is, but since then, through the contracting, and then sometime in pro rodeo, and then moving over to protection, I think throughout that all, one thing has been constant in my life, and that's projectiles, being whether it's precision rifle or archery or even hunting. And there's, as well as I do, there's not much difference from being a sniper in country to being a guide. As a hunter, you find a target, build a target package, do your prep work, find it, pattern, go kill it. The only thing different now is that you get to eat it. Mm-hmm. And I was just talking to
probably a lot less paperwork.
Yes. Yeah. No investigations afterwards. No statements. Yeah. No worries about which officer is going to get the award for your work or whatnot. So it's a fun time. I love putting people on great rifles, and like talking with Steve. We got a mutual friend, Creighton, up there in Montana. My mom's still got a homestead, and he's doing great things up there with Schnees and right there in Bozeman. And he's been like, hey, dude, when you're ready, I'm going to send you some rifles. I'm like, okay, but let me get a base of operations, because you know how it is. You jump around so much when you're contracting or even just protection. But now that I'm married, we're trying to settle some roots down in Texas, and then I'm getting hit up a lot because we teach protection side on pistol, and then I still teach precision rifle and scope carbine as well. So that's something that we're going to get going. I think Creighton's going to be my first call once we get there and get some Creighton and Grayboe down there and start running.
Is that how you're paying the bills? Are you guiding? Are you training? What are you doing?
So main pay bills comes from protection. Okay. On with company full time. They're like, hey man, work 6 months out of the year, we'll pay you really well.
Is it local, or you have to travel?
International. It's national, CONUS, OCONUS. Okay. And that's we're trying to, it's called a ready team. So basically we're not having a dedicated principal, but what's good about this place is like, if you find a good principal and they like you, they can bring you on full time to that detail. And they allow us a lot of leeway, and it's like, hey, if you have some training that's not under that company, send up a toot, and then we'll see if it's viable, and then we'll pay for it. And I was like, all right, roger that. So, the wife, I'll bring her by and so you guys can meet her. She's all about it. And I thought I loved training, like going to schools. Holy shit, man. she's got more schools and licensing. I think I'm up to like 7 states licensed out, CHLs and all that stuff. And she's probably getting at 12 any chance she sees. And she's like, when are you going to get me behind a precision rifle? When are you going to get me behind a precision rifle? And I'm like, sweetie, I know. Okay, we're going. And so I think once she dives into that realm of precision, she's going to, I think it will hone her skills because she's a great shot with the pistol, great shot with the carbine. You know, she's got that former fighter mentality that's just like, no one's going to fucking beat me. And try arguing with a woman like that. You're just like, babe, you win. So we always make the joke. It's kind of like if someone gets in the fighter stance, she gets in front. If someone pulls a rifle, I'll get in front, So we have done details together. We've covered each other to where, I'm more of like a talk back in the hotel room and she'll be out providing coverage or vice versa. And I think, me working towards a degree in intelligence because I thoroughly enjoy collecting information, turning it into intelligence and utilizing that for the benefit of what we do. And the reason why we like I guess with the billionaires, mainly people that get anywhere from 17 to 25,000 a second is what they're making. You're basically a project manager, and we don't like the name babysitter because babysitter is more of that lower security level. When you're embedded with a team, you're embedded with a ultra high net worth person, and it's even better once they start to learn a little bit about you, but you don't break that barrier of, don't be friends, be friendly. Mm-hmm. A lot of them will be like, can you train me in this stuff? And when you start to train them, especially like I've had some that want the precision rifle training, when you start to develop that training mentality of like, hey, this is how I'm going to teach you, they start to understand how you work. And when they can understand how you work, it becomes less babysitting and more of protection realm, which that's hard. The first 6 months on any detail, you're going to be babysitting, but you're also learning your environment. You're also building a baseline to expose those anomalies and whatever comes forth. But that's a great thing is that if you don't know how to be friendly and not friends, you're not going to make it too far because then your parent company's going to get mad. The client's going to get mad because now you're getting too friendly. They think you're going to try and steal that principle. And that's a big no-no in that realm. And I think having that good balance of being able to go out and protect, and then having the hunting season coming up and being able to go out and kill and provide that. I think that's the balance that my life has been looking for the past, forever. I mean, my father was a Marine, Vietnam. So he, that was, I already knew what I was going to do.
Cool.
So
you're here at the Hunt Expo.
Yep.
Primarily looking to advance your guiding career, or what's
yes. So guiding career, being independent and guiding, and then I'll go guest with certain outfits that need help. And then one thing I'm still trying to build is a guide school, but one that can be, like the VA or the GI Bill can pay for certain fly fishing guide schools. I would like one that is nationally recognized, and you'll have rifle and archery side. So there's also that, and that's kind of something that's been in the works for the past 5 years. And that's like what we were talking about earlier. The longer you take to prep, the better it'll be on the long end, right? Proper planning type thing. So not just advancing my guide, but also finding that the optics and rifle companies that I respect. I was telling my father-in-law who's here with me, I was like, he goes, so you usually go up and just talk to whoever's the best? I said, no, I usually go talk to the people that work there. I don't care what they make. I want to know if they're in it because they believe in it or if they're just looking to make a buck. Because the work that I do now, protection and guiding and teaching, it's because I love doing it. I love learning from my students. I love the students that can learn from me. I love teaching with my wife. I love learning from her. I love learning new things from teams on working protection, or even just other guides in the guide realm, especially when you get to the rifle hunts, because you'll start to see the capabilities of what's normal to us versus what's normal to the guy that can only make it out to the Rocky Mountains once a year from Southern Alabama, right? 300 is what he's pushing. Okay,
totally different world.
Spend some time with me and I'll get you to at least 700. Mm-hmm. And it's an easy day. You can do that in a day.
So do you have are you established enough to have a website and have business, or are you working for a company, guiding for a company, or how?
One that I guide guests with out of Arizona called Drop Time Outfitters. Okay. These guys have been on Eastman's cover for past 2 years straight, providing big game animals. They don't have much of a following, but I've guided with a couple of the guys there, and I trust them. You know, I'm a big person with character and moral. If you don't reach those with me and my standards, I'm just going to kind of fade into the mist with you. You know, from there, Drop Time, I did a little bit trying to help them out. And this past January, mainly spent that time hunting for myself, but it was just a low moisture year. Not too much on the nutrient side. So we're going to pass that up and we're going to go hit the early season. But when it comes to a couple companies, you know, like the Wilderness Company, I was talking about Glenn Hansen, he'll be here tomorrow. And he's a former SEAL, 22 years. And he, he bases all of his stuff off the quality of products that we had in the military, especially the cold weather gear, the peak system and everything like that. I ran his cold gear out in Arizona, and dude, he's got layers and levels. And I was literally only had a base layer and cold in the top level. And it was maybe 5 degrees, and it was wind gusts of 30 to 45, and I didn't feel anything. It breaks the wind, it stops the cold, keeps your body heat, doesn't allow the ground to suck it out. You know, it keeps you where you need to go. And so on top of that, what I like about the hunting world is that I can implement that into training military, law enforcement, or civilians. You know, it's like if we're going to have
little timeout.
Yeah. Yes,
TV timeout.
Visit room 155.
I think we might be right under this speaker here.
Yeah.
Don't forget
We are.
There
There it is.
If they mention any tickets, I got to list them up.
Yeah. I just want something. I'll be right back. Hold on. Well, it's either this or the elk call.
Oh, I know. Well, we got both.
We got them both. So yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One thing I like is being able to cross over into the both those realms, and having that quality product of it, everything like that. It helps with between Grayboe and Creighton and all those guys that are providing those rifle. I love archery, but I will never get away from guiding rifle hunts. I mean, that's my bread and butter.
So can someone call you right now and have you guide a hunt, or
absolutely.
you work? Okay,
absolutely. So I'm on social media. I like the independent, then I'll go guest. I enjoy that. I'm not a big fan of contracts unless they're going to pay for my cost of living, which is pretty expensive. Then I'm not going to do a contract with anybody. I did that with a couple outfitters, and it just didn't suit. And I enjoy, so on social media it's under Tatanka, and that's T0TANKA, and you can find me there. You'll probably see a picture of me in a cowboy hat. That's being from Texas and growing up in the rodeo and cowboying and dad and everything like that. That's where I am. And
what part of Texas?
We'll be out of Fort Worth. Okay. Yeah, we'll try to stay away from Dallas, but
will you guide anywhere?
Yes, sir. I will. Yeah. I will. We got some places out in Texas. I'm trying to get with another SEAL friend of mine, Terry Huing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's a former SEAL Team 6 sniper. Short guy, but we got the same birthday, so he's a really good friend of mine. He's out here somewhere. And
he's here today. He's here.
Yep,
oh, cool. I gotta go find him.
Absolutely. And him and he likes Arizona. I don't think he's got Arizona. He'll guide Texas quite a bit, and he'll do some Montana. I think he's still mad at me for COVID year. I sent him to one of my spots in Montana, and that just happened to be the year that everyone decided to get out there. So I gotta renege that with him. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. Just Tatanka, and
so people could just DM you and say, "Hey, man,
DM me," or you can find me through Sornex Outdoors. We're just out there at Winter Strong. We teach precision rifle out there. I was talking with we use 22s because getting civilians in there, 22s are a great starter to train basics and nomenclature on that one. And here's the point of gun, here's the butt of gun, and everywhere in between. This is how you can spot trace with a 22, and then we move up from them. If you want to go to a bigger caliber, come see us. Buck is out there teaching, but Bert Soren out there with Sornex and Sornex Outdoors has always been a staple in my life since I got out of the military. And that guy, I think he's got a couple of your stocks on his rifles out there.
He sounds like a pretty cool guy.
Dude, he's kind of a rogue scholar. You know, he's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I think what he really is he's a hub. Everyone that goes and meets Bert or goes to Sornex Summer Strong, which is coming up in May. Winter Strong just got done because I always go to Winter Strong first, and then I'll come here. Anyone, it's a rejuvenating part of the year that everyone's okay. I got my fill of Sornex. It's time to go conquer this shit. Let's go. And, we do a run, lift, shoot out there competition. And,
Nice.
we do barricade. We stay off our bellies because most shots are not on your belly anymore. Get on the barricade. I'll teach the barricade alternate positions, and we'll have other snipers out there. I think we had a Green Beret and then Buck. If anybody you guys know, Michael Bacciarelli, that's why we just call him Buck because his last name's hard to say. Yeah. So that's where I'm at, man.
Oh, cool, bro. Hey, man, it was really good meeting you.
Absolutely.
And hopefully people listening know where to find you, and maybe you get some business from this.
Dude, the pleasure's mine. Using from the A3s and the Marine Corps and all that stuff, and all the way to my time now, it's cool to see where the quality has come, and to be able to sit at the same table as you, and to know where my journey in precision rifle started, man. All I gotta say is thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, and your service and all that. I mean, it's awesome. It's so cool to talk to people like you and just learn about what you do.
I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Brady. Appreciate it, man.